Howdy ho YouTube, Major Cord here. Today I figured that I'd take you through the journey of sharpening the Wenger sucker tool, because I figured what the hell, I don't think I've done a video on actually sharpening anything. I know I've done a pseudo review of the Lansky turnbox, and I've done a video on stropping with newspaper, but I've never done a proper sharpening video. And I picked this up off of eBay recently, and it is not at all to my level of sharpness. Wow, that was disappointing. I was going to say I can barely cut phone book paper, but I guess I should have checked that first. But the edge on here is nowhere to where I like it, so I'm going to put one of my edges on it and, go from there. I'm probably going to jump around and cut some things out of this video just because I don't want to be sitting here talking to you forever. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of dead air in this. But I'm going to show you what I do so you get the gist of it, and then edit it all together and make one big happy video. So to start off, you guys have seen this before on my channel, the Lansky turnbox crock stick thing. I got the coarse rods in it right now, and it's essentially a poor man's Spyderco sharp maker. This is the Stropman, I think it's the HD compact double-sided strop. I'm not sure if I'm going to use both the coarse and the fine. I might only end up using the fine side, but we'll see what we need to do. If you've seen how to use a sharp maker, this thing works the exact same way. I'm going to cheat and not use the whole, 1, 2, 1, 2 method. I actually, after a year of using this, have decided that I prefer to stick with one side at a time. So for that, again, you hold your knife perpendicular to the base, and then I prefer just to work it up and down until I work up a burr or feel that the knife is suitably sharp. I don't count the number of strokes. I don't have a set amount of time that I do this for. It just depends on the knife, quite honestly. Sharpening is a very organic experience. It depends on the knife, it depends on the steel, it depends on a number of factors. So I hate when instructions for sharpeners will say, okay, do this 6 strokes, flip it over, do another 6 strokes, and you're done. No, there are too many variables that go into everything. You can't just do a set number of strokes or for a set amount of time. Everything is dependent on so many other things. So there are too many variables here to have set directions like that. You can have a technique, but I don't think that you can have set instructions. Now, I'm nowhere near an expert on sharpening. I know how to produce good edges, but I'm not like Master Yoda of Sharp. That would be Jay Davis 882. So if you want some really good sharpening tips and advice, check him out. His information will be in the description box. Now again, I just want to keep this perpendicular. I'm not putting a ton of pressure on the blade. I'm just taking my time, really, making sure I work out all little hitches and kinks that I feel, and making sure, most importantly, not to slide my tip off of the stones. I call them stones, or ceramic rods, but stone is just the word that comes to mind more easily. So I don't create too much dead air here. If you guys haven't noticed, I did move my channel, or didn't move my channel, I updated my channel slightly. I created some playlists. I organized my videos that way now. I haven't done the most recent videos, I haven't put them into playlists yet, but all of my older videos are now into like 5 or 6 playlists, or 4 or 5, something like that. So they are easier to find, they're organized by the type of video they are, so you can go check them out that way. And I've also created a listing of my favorite channels, some of my favorite channels, not all of them, but some of them. The most entertaining channels, I believe. And I encourage you to check that out. Those are in the other channels section on the lower right-hand corner of my channel page. So you can check that out. Now I'm going to check, see if I've worked up a burr. Probably haven't, but I don't really need to work up a burr. I just need to see if I've actually taken off enough metal from this side, and I think I have. So I'm going to move to the other side now. do the same thing. And for that, since it's the same process, I'm just going to cut the video and come back to you in a minute. Okay, so now that I've worked on this side for a bit, I'm going to just do some very light strokes to take off any burrs. I haven't mentioned it, but I'm working on the 20-degree side, which is going to give me an inclusive bevel of 40 degrees. I'm going to test sharpness. That was a weird cut. Very, very weird cut. There we go. That is about where I want to be at the course. Okay, almost dropped a knife straight into my foot. That is not smart. But as you can see, it's a very clean cut. Well, at least clean enough for coarse. There are still some fibers there, but it's not catching on anything. That's what I want. I have no idea how to explain this. So we're going to move on to the fine stones and do the exact same thing here. I'm going to move on one side, doing this, just until I smooth out the scratch pattern, and then I'm going to switch to the other side. And really, I don't think you guys need to see this. I think you get the point. So I'm going to cut back in after I've done this. Okay, I think I've gotten it to about where I want it. I could probably get it sharper if I tried, but I want to mention that once their ceramic rods on this get loaded up, as you can see, you just want to rotate them to a slightly cleaner section and continue your work. I'm just going to clean off the edge a bit. You see there I accidentally rolled the blade off. You don't want to do that. And these last couple strokes I'm going to accommodate for the curve in the blade, which I haven't really been doing because this system takes care of that because these are round rods. But I am going to do that here. I have no idea if it helps. It's just something I like to do when sharpening penknife blades like this. We're going to hope and see if this did anything, because this knife steel, I don't know what it is. This Wenger steel, it seems to roll over very easily. Yeah, like it was sharp as I took it off of the coarse. And now on the fine, it should be getting sharper. It appears to be getting duller. There we go. And now it's just about as sharp. So it depends on the angle of the cut, I'm assuming. I don't know. There, that's the type of cut I want. Now we can see how clean that cut is. Very few fibers left over. Didn't catch on anything. This knife is good and clean. So it's time to strop. I really don't think I need to run it on the white, but I think I will just maybe 5 strokes on each side, just to really clean off this blade and get me a hair-popping edge. So I'm going to do my stropping moves. Some people will pull the blade down, and that's perfectly acceptable. The only thing you don't want to do is cut into the strop like you're working on a sharpening stone. You always want to pull away. I go up and I accommodate the curve of the blade. Just like that. And I'm thinking that'll be enough on the white, because that white takes off a lot of metal, actually. Yeah. Just that was enough to really spice that blade up. If I can get it to focus on the paper. Maybe. It cleaned that up right good. So, now I'm going to move on to the green side, which will polish the blade, or the bevel. The blade is already very shiny, as you can tell. Scratch, but shiny. And the same motion. Now, normally when I do this, I will count how many strokes I do, and I'll start with 10 per side. I'll go 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, and all the way down to 1. Now, because I'm going to be talking and doing a video, I'm obviously not going to count very well, so I will get distracted. So I'm just going to, strop until I feel it's good. But you should always try to do the same number of strokes per side. You don't have to do my method of counting backwards to 1. Some people, I think Jay Davis just does 10 and 10 and calls it a day. But I'm kind of anal about how I do it, so I have no idea if my method works better or anything, but it's just how I do it. But again, same method. And in fact, to make sure I always do it the same per side, I'm actually going to do it alternating. That way I can't screw this up. And I'm not going to bother counting how many times I do this. But the key here is just to maintain a consistent angle, kind of like freehand sharpening. And what I like about systems like this Lansky system is that it kind of teaches you to be steady with your hand. So when you eventually move into the realm of using a sharpening stone, you're used to it. You're used to maintaining a steady hand. You're used to keeping your hand in a certain position, and your wrist is already trained to do it. Which is really good. I'm not a big fan of freehand sharpening. I mean, I can do it. I can get a usable edge. But I certainly prefer this Lansky. This is by far my favorite system. And now that I've added in the Stropman Strop, I really can't think of a better system. A combination of things to use to get a blade sharp. I use the Lansky guided rod system, which is, as I might have mentioned earlier, a poor man's Edge Pro Apex type of thing. But that I use if I have to reprofile a blade. And then for maintenance, I'll use the Strop, or I'll take it to the ceramic rods on this. Because that's a hassle to set up, and it's a pain in the ass to use sometimes. Because it's hard to get repeatability. This, I mean, repeatability is really easy. Set it up for the angle you want, and it's infinitely repeatable. That system, you have to put the blade in exactly the right place, and it's really hard to get the same results time and time again. I'm actually not sure how many times I've done this, but I should be about where I want it. So I'm going to take some very light strokes. And hopefully find a piece of paper that isn't too chewed up. You know what? I'm just going to get a new piece of paper, so excuse me for a second, as I go to the magic phone book. Okay. A new piece of paper. Oh look, Erie County zip codes. Isn't that informative? Okay. There we go. That is what we want. That's not what we want. That's what we want. See, I'm not exactly sure why this blade is doing this. It seems that there's no rolls at all in this blade. I've stropped it enough and hit it on the ceramic enough that there shouldn't be anything it's catching on. And I can get cuts like that where there is nothing it's catching on. And I'm feeling nothing as I run my finger along the edge of the blade. It's perfectly smooth. So you can tell it's sharp. Like I'm doing the Carter Cutlery 3-finger test. There's nothing here. So that's probably just my crappy inability to do a paper cut test. Yeah, there we go. This is a sharp knife. I'm going to say that's my inability to do a paper cut test and call this knife sharp. Yeah. So we're good. But this has been my very elementary and crude sharpening video. Hopefully you guys found it decently informative, maybe somewhat entertaining. Again, if you want to see a guy really do this well, please check out jdavis882 or The Art of Sharp, whichever channel he happens to be using at the time, because I don't know when you're going to watch this video. But yes, I highly recommend both of these implements. Maybe they're things you want to integrate into your sharpening systems. Thank you very much for watching. If it's sunny, like it is near me, go outside and enjoy it, and enjoy the rest of your day.